Hey everybody, welcome to the channel and thank you so much for joining me for our last stops on this journey. I did have quite a bit more travel planned on this trip, including stopping at the Grand Canyon. However, I unfortunately did have to abruptly end my travels. At the end of the video, I'll speak briefly as to the reason why, and I'll discuss the future of the channel as well. I was hoping to stop at the Four Corners Monument, but it was just closed. And I checked on the website, I checked on Google, and there wasn't any notice, but when I rolled up, it was closed and they were waving people on. Also wanted to see if I could check out some of Valley of the Gods, but the road conditions there, which there are all dirt roads there, the road conditions weren't that great. So for our first stop among these last destinations is going to be Mexican Hat Rock, which is in the extreme southeast of Utah and is a pretty interesting rock formation there. The total formation is about 300 feet tall, and the hat portion is about 60 feet tall. Before we get to our next stop, I wanted to briefly share the stats from this incredible trip. I may have mentioned a time or two on this channel, but before getting on the road, I had never actually been camping before, and in general my travel experience was extremely limited. Over 70 full videos on this channel. I traveled 19,500 miles across 35 states. I would say probably California is the most beautiful state. We visited 26 national parks, with Grand Teton being my favorite of the 26 parks, stopping at 11 major cities. It's a little close between New York City and Washington, D.C. for my favorite city. D.C. is a little bit easier to move around, and most of the museums there are free. New York is obviously an incredible city as well. During the trip, I spent almost $5,000 on gas. My van is a 2022 Winnebago Travato 59KL, which is on the 2021 Ram ProMaster. On the highway, the average economy was probably about 17.5 miles a gallon. And then mixed, I would say I got about 15.5 miles per gallon. Finally, what I'm most proud about is through all those days and all those locations, I managed to boondock successfully the entire time without any problems, which that means I ended up spending $0 for lodging, and I probably saved conservatively between $5,000 to maybe $10,000 by avoiding paying for camping sites or hotels. Again, these data points are just to show what someone with absolutely zero camping experience can manage. If you're anyway apprehensive about van life, again, if I can do it, you can do it too. I've seen interviews of older generations, and it seems like the most common regret in life is not traveling more. Having gone on this amazing journey, it's definitely something I wish I had done sooner for sure. You don't have to buy a super van like me, but if you have an inkling to get out there and travel, definitely find a way to make it happen. I'm so thankful I've had this opportunity and appreciate each and every one of you so much for joining me on this trip. Our second stop for this video is going to be the location of one of the more memorable scenes of an extremely beloved movie starring Tom Hanks. That's right, Forrest Gump. Here is the section of highway where Forrest Gump decided to stop running after 3 years, 2 months, 14 days, and 16 hours. We're just to the east of Monument Valley, and as you can see, there's quite a few people here. There's actually a few pullouts, and people just sort of pull over and jump right out of their car and walk immediately into the middle of the road. I don't know if it's intentionally being rude or a lack of awareness, but they will walk right into and right through your picture, which is unfortunate. I would get on Google Maps and find the westernmost pullout to stop at. That way there'll be fewer people between you and the mesas and buttes there in the background. As you're facing west at this location, the best time to stop here would be in the morning during sunrise, because the sun will be at your back and will light up the background for you. Now we'll pass through Monument Valley. I was planning to venture further into Monument Valley and do a proper exploration, but I did read conflicting info as to whether or not I could drive my van on a dirt road, and it didn't seem I would be able to do that. If your vehicle's not allowed on the road, you have to get a tour, and I think that runs about $75. We will stop at some pullouts, however. There you can see Stagecoach and Bringham's Tomb. As we zoom in, there's the East Mitten, the Three Sisters, Merrick Butte, and the West Mitten. Here's a closer look at Stagecoach. If you're enjoying the video so far, I'd appreciate it so much if you'd please give me a like. Thank you so much, and let's continue with the video. To the far right, there's Eagle Mesa, and Sitting Hen there is in the front of Eagle Mesa. Let's move down the road a little bit. That is Mitchell Butte, and behind it is Mitchell Mesa. Monument Valley really gives you great examples of the difference between mesas and buttes. And again, mesas are wider than they are tall, and buttes are taller than they are wide. I hope to one day return and do a proper visit. We'll continue along Highway 163 here on our way towards Page, Arizona. The mountain you see here is Agathla Peak. This mountain is sacred to the Navajo and is the remains of a volcanic plug. We are well within Navajo Nation at this point. If you've never been here, it's a pretty interesting place to visit. Reservations are actually dependent nations, and they actually all have their own presidents and everything, and they also have really cheap gas. Now we're going to finish things up here at Horseshoe Bend, just south of Page, Arizona, which is also close to the Glen Canyon Dam and is sometimes referred to as the east rim of the Grand Canyon. I'm just going to go ahead and say that Horseshoe Bend is kind of a scam. I didn't have time to take pictures of the parking area because I was trying to rush up for sunset, which I ended up missing anyway. But there's actually a whole parking toll booth set up here now. Since 2019, the fee is $10 per car, and they even have those directional tire spikes set up, which I thought was a bit much. $10 just for an overlook is just too much in my opinion. If you're going to charge people, which I understand, it would be much better if they did it here on an hourly basis. I think that would be a little bit more fair. Now, we're not going to get sunset, but here is the very famous Horseshoe Bend, and it's a 1,000-foot drop from the rim to the river. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I had further plans to move on towards the Grand Canyon, which was one of the stops I was most looking forward to, and here I was so close to it. Now they say don't talk about your problems, as half of people don't care and the other half are happy you have them. So I'm not going to get into detail, but I'll just say that I had a personal situation arise and I had to immediately return to home base. When I turned back on this day, I didn't really see that there would be any way for me to continue doing van life, and so at this moment, my van life journey was over. But you know, there's also another saying, where there's a will, there's a way. It's a really incredible view, right? So as season 1 comes to an end, I want to thank each and every one of you so much for sharing in this incredible adventure with me. It's been an absolute privilege to be able to share this with you all. Today I'm out at Big Bend National Park, actually putting the wraps on season 2. So how about let's take a sneak peek. Okay, hey, thanks for joining me for that sneak peek at season 2, and I'm so excited to share it with you all. It's going to start next week with Congaree, and I hope to see you then. Thanks, and take care. Bye.